St John Vianney is a large primary in Blackpool. The school has had links with Woodlands Special School for many years. Pupils from both schools have benefited from working visits to each other's schools. 2 years ago, LEA support and DFES funding allowed Lynn and Sam, the heads, to develop this relationship and to build an accessible resource base at St John Vianney's.
Our children always used to have to go back to Woodlands. They couldn't stay for any period of time. No. And this resource base gave us an opportunity to extend the amount of time they spent and the range of opportunities that they would have.
Our school's on 2 floors, so really that's determined the children that could access the building. But as of the summer this year, we'll have lifts, so the whole of the school will be fully accessible to all the pupils. So, you know, when it comes to discussion about who would benefit, there really will not be any barriers to children coming along, as there was previously.
At St John Vianney's, the staff room was moved so that the new resource base could be sited centrally and at the heart of the school. How do staff ensure the smooth transition of disabled pupils from Woodlands to St John Vianney's?
Initially, we'd look at the needs of the children. The whole idea of this is we have a continuum of provision to meet a wide variety of needs, and then we do preparatory work with the staff that are working here, and then gradually the whole process is built up.
Felicity is the teacher in charge of the resource base and inclusion project. Her post is funded by Woodlands Special School. Were there any initial worries?
I think some of the staff at Woodlands would be concerned that some of the children would be coming into larger size classes and how would their children cope, whilst the staff at St John Vianney's would be worried that they didn't have the expertise that might be needed. But I think very quickly, once they saw that we'd do some careful planning about what the needs of each individual children were and how we could adapt work. I think very quickly all those sorts of worries were forgotten, and we have had teachers on both sides, from both schools, asking if they can be further involved. Even teachers who are not specifically involved with children, they have benefited from the resources of both schools because they've been in a staff meeting and heard about resources that might have down at Woodlands that they could use, or likewise.
Kobe and Ben, 2 Woodlands pupils, have just been on a visit to a farm and museum with their St John Vianney's Year 1 peers. In this follow-up lesson, many reasonable adjustments have been made to support Kobe, Ben and other pupils with learning difficulties, including the use of sign language and visual materials. Kobe and Ben are using photographs and cutting out text to illustrate the visit while other children are writing. These activities are planned to develop their fine and gross motor skills, as well as developing communication and vocabulary. Initially, staff had thought that Woodlands pupils would lunch in the quiet of the resource base, but in fact Woodlands pupils lunch in the hall with their peers.
I think that's the far better option. At first, we were very nervous about that and thought that the sheer number of children and the size of the hall would be too daunting for them. But we haven't had one hiccup with it at all. The children at St John Vianney's are very accepting and enjoy lunchtimes when their friends from Woodlands come.
The resource base has only been open 2 terms, but already staff have noticed benefits for their classroom practice.
I do think that teachers have, through working with each other, found better ways of differentiating. I know that word's been used a lot, but I do think that they have been able to differentiate much better because they've seen examples of how it can be done.
A steam train worked. He boiled the water.
How do the heads think their collaboration will develop?
And there are many aspects of the work of both schools that the staff from both schools will benefit from. The staff at Woodlands, I think, would welcome opportunities to come and work in mainstream, so we might perhaps look at exchanges. There are aspects sort of specific to the work of say at Woodlands School, working with children with severe and profound learning difficulties, training in specific aspects that will benefit colleagues at St John Vianney's. So it's once again a sort of professional development opportunities are quite extensive.
What are pupils gaining from the partnership?
The Woodlands children, when they go through, they're so keen and excited to be able to come through. Also, I mean, they're getting appropriate models, the appropriate language models, appropriate social models, and we can actually see the progress they're making in those important areas. We've also seen with one or two children a marked improvement in the skills, some of the intellectual skills, the writing, number skills have improved as a result. So, they're very positive benefits all round.
There are lots and lots of benefits for our children. Learning is one of them, but also the fact that hopefully they will learn, as we want them to respect and appreciate other people.